Think we're all good. Yep. I'm live.
I'm live too.
Now just now just a fair warning to you all now that I am streaming. My stream has this tendency within the first 10 minutes to freeze at least one time and like restart itself. So if at any given point this thing just crashes, just give me a second. I'm gonna get it fixed up. Everybody good?
2021, Tyler doesn't have internet. Sam. I'm gonna break up today probably.
I think you're all good at the moment.
Yep. I'll probably just freeze the whole time, but I'm on the second channel and no one's watching yet, so we're good.
My one weird thing about my channel is my notifications haven't been going out for like 3 minutes, and I don't know why. It's been weird. YouTube's just been all around weird recently. But all right, Connor, you live? You good?
I think so. I'm just letting people know we're live.
Sweet. I'm gonna shoot out some links and then we're gonna get this thing started. Oh look, I got my Connor Kenny notification.
Oh yeah, you're in my Discord.
Yeah. There we go.
Should we talk about the market yet?
Yeah, I think my notifications just went out, so maybe we can give it like 30 more seconds.
How's everyone doing? How are you feeling, guys? What's your emotions like? You know, talk to me. Like, are you doing all right? I would come over there and give you a cuddle, but you know, it's not the right time for
that. Well, I'm pretty excited actually with the stock market because I've made a lot of money this week, just overall, because growth stocks have been on a tear the last couple weeks. So all the money that I'm slightly losing in crypto, I've been making up for in growth stocks. My top 3 holdings are up. Like, I bought a lot a couple weeks ago because we had like a flash crash before the market opened, and I'm up like 40% on every one of them right now.
Jeez.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 different stocks I bought.
You're big in Tattooed Chef, right?
Yeah, that's my top holding.
Yeah, me too. That's funny. Yeah, we're up like because I sold like a bunch of it when we pumped. Like I sold like 40%, I think, when we pumped, and then I've just been holding it. So in my portfolio, it's been at a loss for ages, and then now we're up 7%. But Virgin, 73%.
I know,
dude.
I sold a while ago. Probably should have bought more, but I sold when it was at like 30. After Chamath sold it, I was like, this isn't good. Yeah. And then everything else was selling off.
There's a podcast that I listen to called My Wall Street, I think. It's like a bunch of Irish guys, and like they were talking about Virgin Galactic, and I was like, that sounds actually like they're like, obviously, like it might stay down for the next few years, but like obviously we're gonna have travel that goes into space, right? So like this is the first company that you can invest in that's going to be in that space. So like it's a no-brainer if you're in it for the long term. And I was like, yeah, that's a great shout.
It's facts. I made the mistake of selling. I sold like at like a 48% or 49% gain, like an idiot. I'd have been up a couple 100% now. I bought it a long time ago. Like I bought it right when it popped up. But
what, Virgin?
Yeah.
Nah, you wouldn't be up a lot because you would have only bought you could have only bought it at like $10. So it's only like $16 now. It's like $30 now.
Yeah. I'd have been up like, I bought it right around 10, like right around 10, but then I ended up selling it like around like 15 or 14. Like,
yeah, man, I've been in Fisker like from $10 20. So like I'm up like $2, baby.
It's better than some of the specs that are down at like 990 right now. I had a bunch of those and I was loading up on those before ARC X, the new space portfolio for ARC, and then they just didn't buy like any real space like specs or anything. So then none of these specs did anything. I unloaded them all though on the last dip and bought the stocks that are now up like 30 or 40%, which was good. But those just sat at like under $10 for like a month.
Damn.
Sucks. What are your top holdings? Just some of the guys in my chat are asking again.
Yeah, mine are I have more in crypto, in individual crypto holdings than I do in my top holdings in stock. But Tattooed Chef, Palantir, and Clean Spark, Bitcoin miner.
I had Palantir for a while, but I just thought, I don't know, like I think it's probably down from where I sold it, but I was just like, nah, the valuation's too high for me to like feel comfortable. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like There's some stocks that I'm like, I don't really care about it, but I think it comes down to that whole understanding, right? I don't understand Palantir enough that I'm okay being in something that is clearly overvalued, depending on if it grows into that valuation. It's like Tesla, isn't it? Like we all are like, oh yeah, we love EVs and we love what they're all doing. So it's like, all right that it's overvalued, but you're like, with something that I don't get, I'm like, nah, sell it. It makes me too uncomfortable to hold this.
Yeah. So the thing about Palantir is they don't seem profitable because they have like so much in stock compensation and they're reinvesting so much in research and development. Like they have such an insane price to earnings ratio because they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars every quarter on those two things, which I think they'll scale back over time, or they just won't grow as exponentially as the revenue. So I'm okay with it. 5 years from now, it'll be worth 2 or 3 times as much as it is now in my mind.
Yeah.
They've got another $111 million contract for like special forces today, the U.S. Special Forces, something. I don't know.
No.
Yeah, so. I mean, that's like with the extreme volatility that we've seen with crypto, I'm like kind of all right. Like, you know, I was like all in on my stocks every day. I'm checking it. I'm like, oh, damn, I should have bought this or I should have sold that or whatever. Now I'm like with my stocks just so chilled, right? Like I got like 5 companies, I believe in them, and I'm like, I just don't even care what happens. I'll just continue to buy them for the next 10 years. It doesn't make any difference to me because it's like, it's the perfect thing, right? Because it's not too much money. Like it's hard to be unemotional, even if it's a little bit in comparison, or even if it's pure profit, right? Like my crypto, for example, is pure profit, right. But it's hard to not have any emotion because it's a lot of money. Doesn't matter that it's not my money anymore. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's hard to like get rid of that. Whereas the stocks and shares portfolio is perfect because it's like, it's a lot of money, but it's like, it's just there.
And I think that comes down to like knowing that it could be your money. You know what I mean? Like say if you go in, you put 1,000 in, your 1,000 10x, you got 10K and you sell your 1,000. So you're on 9, right? But like 9 in profit, but you know that at any point you could have that 9,000 in your bank right now. So whenever it drops, you're just like, ugh, I'm at 9, now I'm at 8, now I'm at 7. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
So it's time related too, right? Because if you had in a 401k for 40 years and you had $1 million in there, then all of a sudden it falls down to 800. Like you would think I just lost $200,000 of my own money. It's not like, oh, those are just gains from the last 40 years. It's just short term. So you're like, oh, it's irrational. It shouldn't have gone up that much anyways.
Right. Totally. I think, it's just, that's the thing of crypto, right? It's just like getting that mindset. That's why I think taking profits is so important. Like, even if you think, you know what I mean? Like say you think it's going to go to 1 million, like your portfolio, but just taking profits on the way, maybe you only get 500,000 or, you know what I mean? Like maybe you sold when your portfolio was worth 500,000 and you're like, it's going to 1 million, but then you sold half of it here, you still get, you know, it's still a lot of money. And I think it's like getting over that greed in your brain that it's like, you know, it's going to here, so I need to keep this.
Yeah. So I guess so we're about 8 minutes, and so I guess we'll get to the talk of the day. What we're kind of talking about. What do you all think? And I guess we'll let Conor start. When it comes to, this is the question that I have really in the thought of with the hype coin era, right? So we saw hype coins absolutely flying. I mean, absolutely anything that had Safe in it or Moon in it, anything just took off for no reason. Do we think that is over? Like that little time frame that we just saw complete euphoria, right? Do we think that's over? And do you think it can come back this year? That's kind of the question I have for both of you. And then I'll give my thoughts.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, I mean, the thing is, so I don't know if people on your guys' channel or whatever have been watching me at all from the start. It's like this was a time in crypto, right?
Yeah.
Like it was never gonna be forever. Now, I don't think that we're fully over. I don't in any way think that. But because of the market, like what I've been saying in my videos for so long is that the hype market, so, you know, the Safemoons or the elongates or anything based in that world is directly influenced by BNB, and then BNB is directly influenced by Bitcoin, right? And I've got a lot of people who basically are like, nah, it's completely different. Like Safemoon's its own beast. And I'm like, no, that because when you come in new to the market, right, and these hype coins are the first thing that you get into, it's like you kind of believe that they're separate, right? When we were in that stage of euphoria, when Bitcoin was euphoric, but also the hype coins were euphoric, it's like, you know, Bitcoin might drop a few percent and you're like, see, no, it doesn't affect anything. We're still going up. But it's like that was that pocket in time. Like we were talking about it last week with SPACs, right? because you're like, these awesome companies, we got an opportunity to jump into these awesome companies at the bottom, and you're nearly always going to make 100%.
Right.
So it's like, and in the moment, even experienced traders in the moment are like, this is a great opportunity. What's happening, right? And it's like, I still think that one day we might be able to get back into the scenario where you're bringing companies back into, like, you're using that route of SPACs again, right? It doesn't mean that SPACs are dead forever because we had this euphoric stage and then now we're down, right? And then the companies that I got into in that SPAC era, I'm still holding some of them, right? Virgin Galactic, like we were talking about, like that was a SPAC and now it's doing great. But how many months ago was the SPAC era? Like 3 or 4 months, was it? Like something like that, right? And it's like, now they're pumping again. So it's like, it's just ever like the rotation of where money is pointed at is always changing. And I think like hype coins will be around. I think as long as, like, in my opinion, crypto is going to be around forever. And inside the crypto world, hype coins are going to be there forever. You're always going to have your Doge coins and your Shiba Inus and your Safemoons, whether or not it's those coins, right? And they might be completely different coins, but I think we'll always have them. But there's going to be turns in the market. And I just feel like right now in this space of time that we're in, we had the euphoria with every crypto. And now what we're going to be in is like, what I'm thinking is like a space in time where it's like people are worried who got in at 60K, right? Because it's like, I'm 50% down. And I think that will shake people a lot. So when we have volatility, but between, let's say, 30 and 40, we're going to have this volatility happening, and that's going to be shaking the people that got in at the top. Whereas like people like me who got in way, way below, I'm kind of about it happening. Like I kind of want us to see this consolidation period, because that will give if the manipulation that's been happening, that will give them the time to get in that we need to give us another leg up. And then bringing that back to your question, once we have, if we have another leg up, that's when we'll see again another turn in the hype coin space, because for sure people want that, right? People want the fun of that. They want in and outs. They want getting in at the ground floor. So once we leave this phase, which I think we're currently in, which might take a few days, few weeks, few months, maybe even a few years, I definitely think we'll get back to it, right? So yeah, that's my thought process.
Yeah. What you thinking, Sam?
Yeah.
Because I know Sam's
I think it's pretty similar.
You've seen like the stock side of everything when it comes like how hype influences these different markets. So like taking that experience, and I know it does apply here, what do you think like in terms of what he just said, like timeline wise and everything like that?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna hit on. I'm with Conor on a lot of that. I think it's really influenced by the overall moves in Bitcoin and BNB. Thing is, it, like you said, it's similar in the stock market, right? Why would anyone invest in penny stocks when the whole market's down and you can pick up Amazon for half off or 60% off? Like that doesn't happen, first of all. Maybe like during the pandemic and everything like that. But people are risk off in those situations. So they're picking up the things that they think are going to go up. If Amazon goes down 50% and it goes back up to its old level, you get 100% return, right? Mm-hmm. So why would you invest in something that might go down to zero when you can get something that a lot of people are buying into, right? People will still think Bitcoin's going to be good long term. They might be scared that the price is going to go down further. But I think a lot of people would still be excited about like 5-10 years from now. At least people that have been around in the market longer. So I think assuming the market stays down or stays sideways or there's volatility, like the fear index is crazy right now, right? The last week or two. So again, why risk losing all your money when there are great returns out there in more mature projects like Cardano, right? Everyone still thinks Cardano is going to $5, $10, $20 this summer, whatever. You can get 10x return, at least in people's minds, right? So I think once the market returns to near all-time highs, then people will start feeling comfortable buying into all this other stuff. There's still a lot of money out there. They're talking about a $6 trillion budget for the U.S. They're talking about new stimulus bills. So there's still a lot of money circulating. So I think as soon as we get to all-time highs, people will look for better returns than Bitcoin going from 65,000 up to 80,000, right? People don't want that. So I think it's just a matter of time, most likely.
Right. And I've noticed that too. Like I've noticed the cyclicality of how there's that power shift, like Bitcoin, altcoin, Bitcoin, altcoin. But I think that I still think that the like altcoin season is in full effect, and I agree. Like Sam, like the fact that you said that makes a lot of sense because it's like, yeah, if you want to make $15,000 with Bitcoin, you need it to go from 65 to 80, you know, and you need $65,000 to do it. Whereas realistically, what we've seen with some altcoins recently, like you could put 3K in and 5x the thing in literally less than 5 hours. You know, so I think
5x would be considered small, right?
right. And honestly, something I've been saying on my channel like time and time again that I think people don't realize is that what we're seeing right now needed to happen. You know, like I think that people get so caught up on the thought that like things only go up. Like in that we got to see that when we have such a big extension. I mean, if we look at the 200 MA itself, the extension we had off of it was ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No pullbacks, nothing major. And I think that we were getting to in a very unhealthy growth rate, you know, because I think if you look at the last bull run, we saw so many retracements back. I think it was like five or six retracements of over 35%. And the thing is, that's healthy, right? Because I mean, just imagine if you look at the stock market, right? And you just imagine if it just never pulled back ever, like never those little small 1 to 2% corrections ever, like never ever. That would be scary. We would all be looking like, ooh, this thing's sketchy. People don't realize that when you look at crypto, just all of those numbers are multiplied by a lot, you know? So yeah, a 1 to 2% pullback on Bitcoin is not that big a deal. And that's not going to be a healthy enough. We're going to need to see those 20%, 30%. Was 60% a lot? Yeah. But I think that we got so far ahead of ourselves that this pullback was necessary, not only one, to see where our next support establishment was going to be at. And I think we're still finding that. But two, I think it's important to make people realize like, it doesn't just always go up, you know, because I notice way too many people who are putting money into these different cryptos, putting money in these things, they're putting their life savings into it because all they've seen was that growth, you know? And so I think it's a tough lesson to learn and it sucks. But for these people to learn like this is all very risky at the end of the day. I think it's important. And I think I agree with Conor. I think manipulation is happening for sure. I think there's too many things that have happened that don't add up to what they should have. Too many things that look like manipulation have happened to not call it manipulation. You know, if it looks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it's a duck. And so I'm curious to see at what point it stops and then what happens after that. You know what I mean? Because I think if we even see Bitcoin push up to 50, that we could start to see some of these different we could see some hype coins just absolutely start flying again. And then there's an opportunity. But right now, I don't think is the time for hype coins, personally speaking. I don't know what y'all have been doing, but I don't think I don't think it's the time.
Yeah. I think as we are now, the days of getting into a project that is like you know, we're in early and it like what 250 X's in like 2 weeks, I think is not finished, but you know, it's going to have a little recess at the moment, right? Because it's just that the availability of funds and what's reverse FUD, you know, like what would you call that?
Hype.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Hype. Yeah. Irrationality.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like the exact opposite. So like back when Safemoon was released, it's like that was the perfect moment for something like that to happen, right? Like it doesn't matter. Like obviously we've all researched Safemoon and we're like, yeah, this was cool. And like we got into it early and we're like, yeah, it's like the rare coin that has a great team behind it. They've got like good values and principles and all of that stuff. But you know, it was the perfect moment where people were so hyped about crypto that they were just looking for the next best thing, right? And I think that's another thing when it comes to like, you know, every day there's, let's say 10 new cryptos that hit the space. Every day, one of our videos, there's a new coin that people are hyping, right? And it's like I think what people miss is the fact that that wasn't happening when Safemoon and Elongate and the original hype coins of this era, of this bull market were here, right? It was like, they were few and far between back then. So like you can look at a few projects and you're like, oh no, that one looks out of the ones that have just recently started, that one looks good. So I'm going to like invest in that, or I'm going to invest my time in researching that. Whereas now the same that we had to look at for, let's say, that first 2 weeks in the time period, right, is what happens daily.
Yeah.
So it's like differentiating between these coins is like so difficult. It's like, you know, which is the next one that's going to 100x? Well, you know, they're all basically the same at this point, but very minor changes. So it's like I'm not saying that the one that you like or the one that I like or the one that, Tyler likes or whatever won't be the one that 100x, but because they're all in this space of loads of coins happening at the same time, it's so hard to like differentiate and choose the right ones, right?
Yeah. Can I ask you guys something then? When you're looking at some small, let's say some small market cap crypto, and you're wondering, okay, is this thing a scam? Is it hype? Is it legit? What are like 2 or 3 things you guys look for? I know everyone knows to look for whether the team is actually like put out their names and faces behind them, but what else do you look for? Just something real short. We don't have to go too long into it, but I'm just curious. Because we're all looking through 20 cryptos a day right now, whether it's emails or something else.
Yeah, sorry, I zoned out a second there because remember when I said if I have the camera pointing from the downwards, someone's going to call me fat. Someone just called me fat. Thank you, mate. You really threw me off there. Connor's got fat. It's the camera angle. It's because it's low. Normally it's up here.
So you said
it's because of the market. You're just letting yourself go, a little bit more.
So you said
I'm just chugging the ice cream.
3 3 things that we look for to see if it is a scam.
Just like 2 or 3 things you look for to determine, okay, is this thing legit? Is it just someone that's trying to rug pull and make some money real quick?
So I have a pretty strict. So like I've been developing over the last few weeks an actual criteria of things like check, and if it doesn't hit a certain amount of checks, it gets a certain score. If it doesn't get the score, I don't ever look at it again. Like I've been developing that. And the biggest things on that criteria for hype coins right now and meme coins starts. The very first thing that I start with is creativity. I mean, that is the first thing that I'll look for. The reason I say that is because we see way too many copycats. Like, I've seen literally people take the exact website design and apply it to that. Like, it's the exact same thing, right? And it's easy. All you got to do, just develop the coin, steal someone else's website, say a few things, and then people will be excited and go pay 100 people to go spam it in YouTube comment sections. I mean, it's simple. So I look to first to see, okay, is it creative? Is it unique? Have I seen something like this before? If I've seen something like this before, and say like with Safemoon, for example, why would I want to buy another, like, let's say Safe Pluto, something that's out the blue. Safe Pluto, that has the same exact tokenomics, the same idea, the same concept. Why would I buy that one and not just the original one? And so that's the first thing. Is it creative? Is it unique? The second thing I look for right now is a docs dev team. And now I've said it in the past and I've said it in videos where I say, I don't think a docs dev team is 100% necessary for crypto to be successful. But I think for people to have confidence in cryptos today, we need to know who's behind the scenes for these new ones. And the reason is, back in the day, no, we didn't need to know who made something like Bitcoin. You know what I mean? We don't need to know who the exact people are because we're in those early stages where not everyone is just trying to scam people. But whenever you see the timeline turn as it is turning right now, and we start to notice that the bad people in the world who notice that there's a lot of emotional people in this space that they can take advantage of, they're going to try to take advantage of them. And we've gotten to that point now. So what I need to know is that who's behind the scenes, right? Because knowing who's behind the scenes, that doesn't tell me it's a scam, it's not a scam, but it tells me 2 main really important things. The first one, what have they been through in the past? Do we know that they have the know-with-all, like they are emotionally stable enough, like they can make it through hard times. You know what I mean? We can see what they've been through, how they handled it to decide how they would handle in a moment like this where it's falling and we see some of these different cryptos, their staff just goes quiet. That's scary. But the second thing is it's not going to stop them from scamming people, but the societal consequences themselves of scamming people when everyone knows who you are much higher. It's not going to stop it, but it'll deter it. So that's the second thing. And then the last thing that I've been looking for that's been really, really big for me is the token distribution. And this is something I slept on for a while because I never realized the importance of doing calculations of just simply how much does this company have access to? Because it's easy. You look at the token supply, you see a few wallets, maybe like 3 or 4%. You're like, oh, that's no big deal. I mean, they got some big whales, but it's new, right? It's new. But then you do the math and you look, okay, they have an event wallet, a charity wallet. They have a dev wallet, a team wallet, and all these little 3-4%. So next thing you know, they own 45% of the total supply. And then they've burned 40%. The people only have access to 10%. You know what I mean? So I've been paying attention to how much does a company have in control of total for all the wallets they have access to. If it's more than like 15-20%, I immediately start to get weird about it. So those are my big 3, at least. Those are the 3 that I'm looking on right now. So Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially it, man. You hit the nail on the head. Like for me, the first two things are the most important. Like obviously, I mean, I'll check the holders as the first thing I do. I won't even go further if what you're saying happens, right? If I can figure out a way that someone has more, or there's because there's loads of ways you can trick the system. Like if anyone looks into coins, there's a rug check on PooCoin, and it's actually really good on their website, and you can go through like every single different thing that you can check. And there's a lot of things they can do to hide it, or to like, if they've burnt 50%, it looks like half, but it's actually double. There's loads of things to look into. So the first thing I won't even bother looking. I'll just check the BSC scan and see the holders, right? And if that's all right, and I check the website. If some time has been put into the website, right? Like I hate this like you're saying, copy and paste. It's just like if you are actually trying to do something here, either make a good website or invest someone to make you a good website, right? It's 2021. You can get someone on Fiverr to do it. Like it's not a problem. And and then if those two things are cool, before doing like a deep dive, if I talk about a coin on my channel, or if I talk about it on Twitter or whatever, I'll have to do my normal, my in-depth research, which is a lot with hype coins. It has to be a lot based on your own personal opinion, right? Because like you can't deep dive like you would into Cardano or something, because there's nothing there, right? It's just a team and an idea essentially with hype, right? But and then the team, the team is the most important thing once those two things have been checked. Because I just like, everyone always says, well, Bitcoin doesn't have a creator, there's no one behind Bitcoin, and I'm like, yeah, but that's completely different. Like Bitcoin isn't trying to give, like, isn't trying to, hey, I donate to charity, or hey, I'm creating a new wallet, or hey, I'm doing this. It's not trying to do that. That's not what they're doing. They're like, that's just like a self-growing beast, on the side. It's completely different. But if you come to me and say, hey, I've got this company, and we just happen, like, we're a company, but we just happen to have a token. This is what our token does. This is what our company does. For example, we're a charity, right? And we're helping X charity, right? Whatever. This is our purpose. But if you're not even willing to show your face, I can't. It's just doesn't work for me, right? It doesn't make any sense. That's the most. I think the most important thing after the basic, the obvious checks. I think the most important thing for me is like a good team.
Yeah, I was curious about that. I mean, obviously we get reached out to a lot, and I got pretty excited. The most I've ever gotten excited about one token the other day, and the person that started it is a Forbes 30 under 30 guy. Really? And they're very transparent and stuff like that. Their website was actually pretty cool, what they're trying to do. So I was excited. I took I talked about them on my channel, and like said, that they were paying for that like 60-second spot or whatever. And I got some of their token. And even though the market has been like down the last couple of days, it's up like 60% still. And it's actually pretty large and has like 20,000 holders. So I was like, man, I'm a little bit excited. Even into the market environment we're in, I'm like, okay, I feel like this is an actual legitimate coin. It's not named after anyone's fluids or anything like that,
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And one thing that's been really important that I forgot. This is one thing I've been looking for too, right now specifically, is, we always talk about use case, right? Are you useful? But there's something specific I've been looking for recently that differentiates. Some could have use and some could not. What I've been looking for recently is, do you have a use case no matter what your price is? And that's something that I didn't really think about until like the last couple of days, just thinking like so many of these different cryptos that come around, right? Say like we have this new one and they're like, we're going to be the new store of value in crypto. And that's their use case. That's what they say they are. And I think about it, I'm like, okay, but if the market crashes all the way, what value are you storing? And I was thinking about it like that because you're not guaranteed to grow with crypto. I think about Bitcoin as a store of value and the thought that if crypto grows, Bitcoin is going to continue to grow. So I think the store of value case is legitimate for them. But I look at other cryptos and I think if you don't have a use case with your coin being at dead zero, it doesn't make sense. And I was thinking about something, I was like, what does that apply to? Because that's difficult, right? Because a lot of these different cryptos rely on the price of their crypto doing well. But there are
Yeah.
actually some out there that I think will continue to do well because their use case isn't that dependent on their price. Some of them, for example, like when we talk about NFT exchanges, right? And all of these different cryptos that say the art market. Let's talk about the art market for a second. The art market itself is one that's interesting to me because I've said it before on this podcast. Like, I think that crypto is going to be applicable to pretty much every aspect of life at some point. And I think about the art market itself. I was in design school for the last 3 years and being able to really see the space that there are a lot of copycats. There's all this stuff. So we've seen what NFTs are capable of. Okay. And I think the NFT space is interesting because we do see some of these cryptos that have like an NFT marketplace, for example, and then you use that like their native currency for their marketplace. Say like they have a crypto name something and you use that to buy NFTs. There's still a use case there, right? You're still using their crypto to buy these NFTs no matter what the price of the crypto itself is doing. The amount of the crypto that you use is going to change as the price changes, but there's still a use for it. There's still something you can use because realistically, people are going to sell art whether or not the price of crypto is up or down. You know what I mean? And so like that's the type of stuff I've been looking for recently is, yeah, you may have a use case, cool, but is it applicable if we go into a bear market for 2 years? You know what I mean? Because
BNB and Ethereum. I pay $50 a transaction in Ethereum all the time now, I feel like. BNB is like 25 cents, but I'm thinking, okay, BNB burns what, 500 million a quarter or 600 million a quarter worth of like $500 million worth because they take some of their profits to burn. And the circulating supply is just getting smaller. More people are using it, more people are burning, or more people are spending on fees and stuff. I'm just thinking, yeah, that's such a good investment, I think, long term, as opposed to some of these other ones that have no use except for the store value. Like you said, like if I want store value, I'm buying Bitcoin. I'm not buying something that could go up or down like 90% or something in a couple days because it's store of value. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
Just on that, someone actually gave me a super chat here. btown818. Thank you for the donation. It's a really good question about like greed mentality and taking profits. So I don't know if you guys do take profits or buy the dips or whatever, like, but especially when it comes to hype coins, like what's your thought process? Like, I guess what's the point in which you're like, right, it's time for me to like at least take my initial out or at least take some profits at this point? Like for anyone who's like maybe new to the world, where would you be thinking about taking profits?
So I think about it. I think I have a little bit more of a different perspective on it because I'm used to trading stocks and stocks are much less return. So I'm much quicker to get out if I see like a 40% gain because I'm used to getting a 10% gain a year. You know what I mean? Just in the general investment terms. But with me personally, I always just remind myself one thing that it's what you say all the time. And it's something, it just applies so well, is that it doesn't matter if I like it. It doesn't matter if I like a project. If the price gets to a point that it's just simply unreasonable, you got to understand when it's time to get out. So me personally, if I ever get a full 100% return, I will immediately take out my entire initial investment. Because my thing is this, like, if you truly have faith in this company in the long term, and you go up 100%, well, nothing's really changing. You still have that same exact amount of money in from this given point. And if it keeps going up in the long term, you're still growing at the same rate. But I think about it in a sense like, at some point, you have to just understand that these things will take pullbacks, okay? So just because you get so greedy and you're like, oh, it's going up, I got up 100%, I'm going to go up 130% next, 150%, 200%. That's fine if you're that bullish on it. You know what I mean? But I think taking profits along the way, especially if you get a full return, is really important. You know what I mean? Like, because personally, I don't take profits out of long-term investments, usually. Like, usually...
Yeah, I was about to say, do you apply that same logic to other cryptos or just hype coins?
It depends on my timeline. So like with ADA, for example, I won't sell ADA for nothing. Like unless I'm specifically saying like, okay, I know ADA is about to do this, but I think it's gonna fall. It'll have a 10% bounce. It's gonna fall. This was an example from my Patreon the other day. That's exactly what we did. Went in, bought in, 10% gain, hit resistance.
My Patreon.
Right. link, shameless plug. But we went in, bought it, 10% gain. We got out. I mean, we just knew it was going to happen, right? The charts were too obvious.
Yeah.
But other than that, realistically, man, like I don't ever sell. I don't take profits on long-term gains until I have a true, clear thought or reason as to why I think it's about to go down. Like with Bitcoin, if we were looking at Bitcoin and we were approaching 100K, right? I would be very ready to start selling. Because at that point, everyone's like, it's going to reach 100K, it's going to reach 100K, it's going to reach 100K. It probably will reach like 95K or 90K and then fall. You know what I mean? And so unless I have a true reason as to why I think it's going to go down, I just won't take profits. But on speculative plays, 100% gain is not hard to get, honestly. Like on some of these hype coins, it's not hard. So I'll get out as soon as I'm at 100.
Would you take profit even if you think it's still going to go up just to protect the bag?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's really, I guess, the mentality, back to the question, like the greened mentality. Like I fully feel that every time I get into any play in anything. Do you know what I mean? We're talking stocks and shares or crypto. Like I feel like, especially like, you know, for example, that Virgin Galactic, right, being up 73% in a week, I think it's been, which is incredible returns for stock market, right? But it's like you gotta get into this at the start with the mentality as to whether or not this is a long-term hold or a short-term hold. If it's a long-term hold, what's your goal of the long-term hold? Do you think Bitcoin is going to be worth $1 million in 10 years, right? And if that's the case, then of course not, like selling it ever would be ridiculous until it gets there, right? But if you think, okay, Bitcoin's going to 100,000, like you said, then a good time to get out or a good time to be taking some of those profits would be about 90, right? So you can get ahead of the curve.
Right.
But it's like, just fighting. I think the way you fight the greed is by having a plan and sticking to it, right? So it's like, this is my plan, and then fighting it. When you reach that point, this is my plan and this is where I'm pulling my profits. The way I fight it is, instead of even in my long-term holds, all across the board now, even in my long-term holds, if I do a ridiculous move, I take some profits, right? But those profits will be reinvested. Like when I use like the stocks and shares, it's like it may not work out better in the long run, but because I'm not invested in one company, it's like, for me and my mentality, I think it's better. Because, you know, I'm sure you guys feel it. You instantly change your mood once you have money on the side, right? Yeah. So like over the last few days, I've been saying, like, if we hit that $40,000 mark on Bitcoin, I'm going to take some profit, right? Because I think we're going to go, I think long term we're going up, but I think we're going to have a little downturn in the short term. So I'm like, I'm going to take some profits. But the second you take those profits, you're almost like, let's go down. Yeah. Like I'm pumped for you to go down, right? So it's like, it's good for your mentality, I think.
And I base my strategies, my plans off of my timeline. So long-term wise, I only sell or buy on a long-term perspective. Okay. Like I only sell on a long-term perspective. So with Bitcoin, I'm very long on Bitcoin. I mean, I'm very 10, 15, 20 years on Bitcoin. I will only make a play on Bitcoin if I think the results are going to be that in a long-term perspective. So like, say with Bitcoin, like my example with 100K, I would be willing to sell out around 90K in anticipation that a long-term bear market is coming and in which I will re-enter. I'm not selling all my Bitcoin at 40,000 to rebuy it at 38,000 to sell it at 40. I'm not going to do that. I don't trade a long-term investment on short-term timelines, but short-term plays, like my speculative plays, I trade them on short-term timelines. So I might get in, make a 30% gain, get out, back in, get out, back in on the hourlies or the 4 hours or the 8 hours or something like that. I haven't recently because the market's been weird, but I only take profits or I only sell on investments based on that same timeline. So long-term, I'll do it on a long-term. Like if I think an 8-month downtrend is coming, of course, why would I not sell out? You know what I mean? Maximize profits. Say I put in 10K, go up to 100K, and I'm up. Why would I let myself lose $40,000 over the next 8 months when I could hold that and then ride it back up? You know what I mean? So just make a strategy and stick to it.
I've been considering taxes more than ever too, which I think come into play. If you're talking about like a big investment like Bitcoin, let's say you put in, let's say you buy a Bitcoin right now, it goes up to 100,000. Then you have 60K worth of profit. You have to pay taxes on that short term, wherever your income is. Let's say you pay 30% tax. That's 20 grand in taxes you have to pay. So then you start thinking, okay, even if we hit 100 and I sell right now, it has to hit at least 80 to even make up for the tax that I have to pay this year. So is it worth it? And then you have to start taking into account, well, what if it 10x'd? Like, what if I bought it at 4,000? Then I have to pay all of the more in taxes. I've been thinking about that more too, because I was like, okay, well, what if it falls down, but then goes right back up because of all this institutional adoption? And then crap, I just created a short-term taxable event. I can buy only 80% as much Bitcoin as I could before, as I just had, because now I have to pay 20 grand in taxes. And now it goes up to $1 million. And then I lost out on like 200K because I was thinking short term, trying to get a quick jump on it. But I agree. Most of mine is like, do I go into it with a short term thought process like SPACs? Like if I feel strongly about SPAC, but it's like based on NFT or something like that, and I think it might be a little bit hypey, where people don't figure out that it's NFT related yet, but it pumps up later. I did that with Tops recently. Their SPAC. I sold it at like 15 after I bought it at 10. Would I sell ADA if it goes up to $2.20? No, I would hold on to it then. But a SPAC that I don't really care if I hold on to for 10 years. I don't have a position really built out in it. It's speculative. I'll sell it up 50%.
Do you have non-tax accounts in America?
Yeah, we do. Some things though you can't do in them. Like I don't know if there are any for cryptocurrencies besides like if you want to buy trusts, like GBTC or something.
Yeah, and I just find it so interesting how like you would think that if you bought Bitcoin and then you bought an altcoin and then you transferred that altcoin back into Bitcoin, that wouldn't be a taxable event, right? Like that would be the assumption. If I came into this new, like now I would assume that as long as I buy Bitcoin, like, yeah, my taxable event is when I put the Bitcoin profit back into my account, right? But the taxable event is this one. And I'm like, how are you going to do that? And in England, from my understanding, which is limited, it's taxable on what Bitcoin was worth when you did it. So if you did sell at the top and then it comes back down, you're still taxed on what Bitcoin was worth at the time of the transaction, not let's say now after 50%, which is wild. Yeah. Because if it's gone down 50%, it's like exactly what you're saying. Like it almost makes it pointless.
Yeah. I mean, it lowers your cost basis when you buy back in, right? Well, I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt. Taxes suck short term here.
Yeah, for sure. And like what you were saying, like with the whole, then there's one thing I talked about earlier today where you were kind of like, what if I put in a certain amount, then it drops and then it goes all the way back up to like $1 million and everything like that. And I had a question in here, like it related that kind of somewhat, where someone basically said like, what do I do if it goes up to 100K and I think it's gonna stop, right? And then it's at 90K and I sell it, but then it goes up to like 115K. Like, do I buy back in? Do I chase it? Do I not? I honestly think the only answer to that question, and it was someone in my chat named Matt. So Matt, the only answer to that question that I think you have, like, I think that specifically is where paying attention to two things comes into play, being what people are saying, because Conor talks about this a lot. Like, if people constantly keep saying that Bitcoin is going to do this, it probably will just because people are saying it. But two, like, I think that's when technical analysis comes in very, very firmly, because it's like, say if we're looking at a levels, right? Say if we're looking at Bitcoin right now, okay? I don't want to say right now because I haven't checked the charts in a few hours, but say if we're looking at it in the span of, we have some,
make you cry.
We have some major support at, say, I'm making these numbers up, it's totally hypothetical. At like, let's just put it way up somewhere so no one even relates this to what's going on. 70K. Support at 70K, went up to 80, fell to 70, we established support at 70. And then we're doing a retest. And you, in your heart, truly think like, okay, I think this thing is going to hit 70, bounce, find support, and it's going to go back down. We're going to go back to 60K, right? Well, you have to have your plan, Matt, again, you have to have your plan for, okay, what if I'm wrong? Like, you can't just assume that you're going to be right? So say if I was planning on getting out at 100K and I thought I was right, but then it goes up to 110K. Well, then from there, I need to say, this is when technical analysis comes in, because then you need to look at, okay, what are my extensions? I need to be looking at where's the next level from here afterwards. So it's not a matter of, should I just buy back in and chase it? But it's more of a matter of understand where it could go from there, and then do your TA from that point forward on what some price targets are and see how it reacts to these price targets. Don't just be like, oh, it went up 5K after I sold, I'm just going to buy back in, because there could have been an extension that's like 4K ahead of where you are. It's going to hit that extension and drop all the way back down to where you thought it would go. So no, don't just chase it for sure.
looking for the confirmation, right? It's like, when you sold it, why did you sell it?
Right.
And then if you sold it because you think that it hit a support, it hit a resistance and came down, or you think that whatever your reason, right? Whatever the reason was that you sold it, whatever it was, if you're going to chase the way back up, then chase it for a reason. Find where you when you sold it, like for example, me taking profits, right? It's like I'm selling it at this level of 40 to 45k, right? Because I think it's going to come back down. If we break past the 45 and we smash through 50, I'll probably be buying back in at that point when I realize that these we're confirming our way back over the 200-day and the 21 EMA, right? So like we're confirming that. So once we've confirmed it, I'm okay if I had a 10, 15%. It's not a loss though, right? You think of it as a loss, but because you're sitting on this side, it's like you missed out on the 15%, but you're not losing any money, right? So that's how I see how the market's playing out right now. Is we're so volatile, we're so emotional. People on TikTok, everywhere on YouTube are saying this is where we're going, right? So people are like, right, I'm putting my stop loss in because this is what I'm selling at 42 and I'm jumping back in at 25. I guarantee you, if you could see. You can see these two levels, right? That's where they'll be because that's what everyone's saying. And it's like you can hedge your bets by just unemotionally deciding your reasons for getting out, not getting out, but like, pulling a little bit of dry powder on the side. So you can put it in. And then if what happens doesn't play out, then be prepared to miss out on 15%, let's say. But when you have your personal confirmation as to where the market's going.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I'm glad you said
and
the
try
word.
not to be too.
Oh, go ahead, Sam.
Don't be too hard on yourself too if you get it wrong, because I mean we're all playing numbers, right? If 70% of the time it's going to work and you don't get it because it's that 30% of the time, like that, you're supposed to be unemotional in trading, right? That's the whole point. Is that it's trading. It's not based on hype or or your emotions. So
no one knows, right?
No, you never know when Elon.
No one actually knows. Like no matter how convincing they they sound in their videos, right? It's like. They don't know what's going to happen. That's why, like in my videos, I'm always trying to give like two sides of the coin, right? I'm like, for me personally, today I'm bullish. I feel good about today. I think it's going to go this way, but it could also go this way. We can't like you can't know. So I think it's a good idea to also like when you're following people, follow people who are super bullish, but then also follow people who are really bearish, because that way you can get a good sense of where you stand using both of their information, right? Because then you can get two sides of the coin.
And I think, like that's perfect. I think people get so wrapped up in what everyone else is saying. And it's scary because you could be following a crypto YouTuber who does have the wrong intentions, right? Their goal is to get you as excited as possible so they can get as many views as they possibly can. And what happens with it, really, they don't really care because their money's probably not even coming from crypto. It's coming from views. You know what I mean? And so I agree with that. Like if you are going to be following people and like really basing your investment decisions off of YouTubers, which you shouldn't do, again, if you're going to be doing that, like Conor said, see both sides, because you never know when Elon's just going to tweet and send this thing one way or another. You know what I mean? So none of us really know what's going to happen. I can look at technical analysis and I can say, I think we are going to see this happen, but none of us really know, and so I guess while we are coming up on about the 50-minute mark here, I have a question that I think people are curious about. Where do y'all think we're at right now? If you had to say with the crypto market right now, we got to give our little analyst rating. Okay. Are you at a buy, a sell, or a hold, and why? That's the question that people got.
All I can say really is my portfolio is 75% in and 25% on the sideline. That's where I'm sitting, right? So I'm 75% bullish.
Okay.
That's it.
What you doing, Sam?
I'm not selling anything because I'm not going to miss out when it goes up, because it can go up to, I mean, we've seen it like drop down to ADA down to $1, then $1.95 the next day. So I'm not selling anything, but I just text message my accountant to see how much I have to pay in taxes here to know how much I can throw at the market this weekend if it drops. So I am ready to pick up some deals.
Sorry, on that note, I saw some things, because obviously I'm not American, but obviously you can tell by my accent. But have you seen the selling I don't know, you can sell Bitcoin, right? And it can count as a loss because of what happened?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you
Have you thought
can
about that?
sell it if you bought it like at 65 and you bought Bitcoin, and then you have a $25,000 loss. I mean, you can do that with stocks too, right? If you have $100,000 in some stock and it falls down to 20, you can sell it and then you can take the loss. The thing is, I'm not down on Bitcoin or anything. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, there are all different kinds of tax strategies you can do, whether it's capital gains harvesting, capital loss, or capital loss harvesting. I don't know if you guys have even looked at that. Like if you have a low income year, let's say you make 10 grand this year, there's a certain level before you get taxed on like long-term capital gains. Let's say you have some stock that you bought at 10 grand and it went up to 40. You have like 40 grand before you even get taxed. So you could like sell it and then buy it back or buy like an equivalent. And then you technically wouldn't be taxed at all. And your new cost basis is that 40 grand.
Mm-hmm.
So then if it goes up to 100, you only have to pay from 40 to 100 instead of 10 to 100.
Right.
So, I mean, there are all different kinds of things you can do there. But
yeah.
For
It's
sure.
super interesting. I want to dive more into crypto taxes on the channel. That's something that I want to do, just like cover all the bases, because I want to understand, like I understand ish the crypto taxes in England, but I want to understand like the rest of the world, right? Because it's fascinating. Like when I first, like I was saying earlier, when I first realized that the Bitcoin to ADA and then back into Bitcoin is a taxable event, I'm just like, what? But yeah, it makes sense, I guess.
And lastly, just I guess I'll answer that question real quick. So with the buy, hold, or sell, who was that? I just missed the chat. Aaron. Okay, so buy, sell, or hold is a hard one right now. Just because no one knows what's about to happen. But I'll say what I'm doing. Okay, so I always look at my available cash as a percentage. Like how much do I have? How much? Like if I was going to invest in the market right now, like how much do I have? And I think about that as 100%. What I would say is that in the last week and a half, I've put in about 16% to 17% of my available cash, because I'm currently at a point where I'm at a hold right now. I'm at like a brace hold and just see what happens type. I have enough in the market that if we see it go back to 60, that I'm seeing good gains. But if it falls, that I have enough cash to buy more in. But I still do have that ounce of me who doesn't believe that the bull market is over yet. And so I'm putting little bits in here and there whenever I see a good opportunity. Whenever I see support get established, boom, I put a little bit in. But I'm only going in like 0.5 to 2% of my cash every time I buy in. So personally speaking, Aaron, I'm more of a hold right now, but very slowly buying. I'm not selling anything at this point, because the only things that I would consider selling are my hype coins, because I'm just like, I'm up good on them. But I think they've dropped so much at this point, there's really no point. And I haven't put in enough money into hype coins to be stressed out. You know what I mean? So with those, I still think the risk versus the reward is like, if I have it, I might as well keep it. Everyone else is selling, and most of them have reflections. So I'm building up that portfolio anyway. So I might as well just keep it while everybody else is selling, just see what happens. But my Bitcoins, no chance. I'm not selling those. No chance at all.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, like my hype coins are so far, like they've been only profit for probably a month now. So it's like they went down significantly on this crash, but it's like it doesn't make any difference. I have sold I've not sold all of my positions in everything, but I did take some of my risky plays, like the riskier, more gambling plays. I sold out completely of all the ones that I was like, I'm just in this for a laugh. I took those out, all of them, and then I'm sitting in BUSD ready to pounce for the next thing.
I was just getting ready to ask this question for both of you. What do you think, right? Because this is a question I've been seeing in my comment sections a lot. If, say, someone bought Safemoon at the top. No, not Safemoon. I think Safemoon is somewhere in the middle right now. I think they've done enough to kind of be a little bit established. If they bought one of these cryptos that came out like last week, and they just so happen to be unlucky and buy it at the top, and they're down 50%, do you think that now would make sense for them to sell that and to put it into something like ADA or Ethereum or XRP, even XRP, Bitcoin, one of the more well-established, like most likely going to make it out of this different type of cryptos? Or do you think it's worth like buckle up and hope for the best? What do y'all think? Because I have my answer, and I'm curious to see what y'all think.
Why did they buy it in the first place?
They bought it because they wanted to turn 1,000 into 10,000, and they just were really unlucky.
Did they look into the project?
Mm-mm.
Sell
Nope.
it.
Sell it.
That's what I would have done.
What if they think? Okay. Go ahead.
That falls into my gambling play, right? If they haven't researched the company, they don't believe that they're going to do something in the future, they're not willing to hold, like, if you don't understand what they're setting out to do, then it is a gamble play, right?
Yeah.
So if it's a gamble play, then yeah, cut your losses, because it can drop another 99% from where we are now. But also, did you put in, a completely insignificant amount of money, which is what you should have done.
Right.
So on that regard, you know what I mean? But it's like, in my opinion, it's the opportunity cost, right? So if this is your gambling pot and you put it into this coin as a gamble, it went south, cut your losses.
Yeah. What do you think if they put in a significant amount and they have so say we take a company like Elongate. Like Elongate looks pretty great. Like they have a great project, great team, everything like that. But they put in way too much. They put in more than they should have. And now they're stuck in this position where they believe in the project, they believe in the team, but they're not sure, like, okay, I think that in the future they'll do well, but I don't think that they have as much of a likelihood to be successful as something like Ethereum. Do you think it's the time for both of you guys? Do y'all think it's the time, like, get out of the more speculative ones and go to the safe plays? Or would it be more of a, like, you did it, so own it, and now you're stuck type of thing?
It's a really hard question to ask. Like, I myself would have deleveraged
right
as it was going down, because it was too much. So like,
yeah,
it's really hard to answer that. I would still just sell it.
Yeah, I don't put anything more than like 1% of my portfolio, even on swing trades, that I feel like, even if a SPAC that I like is at $10, but it's just like a swing trade, I don't put more than 1%. So I'm really conservative. So honestly, I would never find myself in that situation, because I wouldn't invest that much in something like that. But I think there are a lot of gains to be had in other cryptos. So if you're down 50%, like if you really think Cardano is going up to $5 or $10, like there's safer ways to make a 5x than waiting for whatever it is to go back up and like double or triple or quadruple or whatever. I personally would. But again, if it's like 1% of your portfolio or less than 1%, then who cares? I guess unless you've been growing it for 30 years and that's like still like a third of your salary, or a tenth of your salary or something. But
just don't invest money that is going to affect your psyche, right? Yeah. Like that's the most important thing. Like I was talking about this to someone, and actually I think it was Stephen, but we were talking. And it was just, don't use the investing, like use investments as a way to grow your net worth, right? Yeah. Don't only look at investments as the way to make money. Yeah. You should be looking at other opportunities to make money in the world, right? If you're sitting on your computer, like e-commerce is the perfect example for that. Like spend time doing e-commerce, make profit in a business that you've created, add the money into separate your portfolio into long term, short term, but don't make just your portfolio your only thing of making money, right? And then if you want to be a day trader, then you have to accept that you need to cut your losses, right? Yeah. Because that's how day trading works. Like that's one of the principles, right? You got to cut your losses because the losses can add up quicker. Right. So it's like, those are your options, in my opinion, right? And then never invest money that you like. If you made $1,000 profit from your e-commerce business or your day-to-day job, and you chuck in $100 a month into your portfolio, it doesn't matter if it drops 50% on the month, because the next month along you add another $100. It's just compounding, right? It doesn't matter.
I'm in the same space. So I've actually, in my non-financial advice, anyway, this is what I've been telling. This is what I think. So. I'm basically like in a mix between you guys, right? So where I'm at personally, there were some people that I know, Patreon members, commenters, and the sections, live streams, etc., where they're like, man, I put too much into this project that I believe in. It's fallen. I'm down 50% and I don't know what to do. What I would do in that situation, I'm not in the situation because I don't put in like anywhere near remotely significant amounts of money into these. But what I would do in that situation as a non-financial advisor who doesn't know anything that he's talking about, I personally would say... Wait,
you're not a financial advisor?
No, not at all, actually. But what I would do in that situation is I think the best play from there is to take that money, sell it, get rid of it, burn it. You take your loss. But then the best place to put that right now is to put that into altcoins. Now, the reason I say that, like your more established ones, like your ADAs, your XRPs, your Ethereums. Now, the reason I say that is because I think that you have two scenarios here. Okay, the market goes up or the market goes down, obviously. If you keep that money in that speculative play, if the market goes up, that speculative play is not guaranteed to go back up just because it's so new that once it's been hit and the price been dropped 50%, who knows how much faith people still have in it. You know what I mean? It hasn't done enough to establish like I'm here to stay. But you're saying, so it could go up or it might just stay the same and you might never see those gains again. Or option number 2 is the market goes down and it crashes to 0. Okay, which is likely what speculative plays will do when they're so new. But if you take that money, boom, sell it, put it into a more established altcoin, you can see those big gains. Bitcoin might only go up a little bit, but if you look at ADA in comparison to Bitcoin, I mean, that gain could be, you could 3x your money really fast. You know what I mean? But so realistically, if the market goes back up, we see something like ADA, Ethereum, we see them go back up, right? That's more than likely the case. So right there, your risk of the market going up and you might not make your money back is eliminated, in my opinion. Whereas the other risk is the market crashes and it's the same result as the other one. So you have more potential of a reward from the other one. So personally speaking, I would say sell it, burn it, get rid of it, take your lick, and go something more established while the market literally is balancing on a fence right now and it's gonna fall one way or another. So we'll see. That's my thoughts at least.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the thoughts.
All the time.
Well, do you guys want to cover anything else, or should we wrap it up?
So
I know we talked about doing a little bit shorter live stream.
Yep.
Apparently, my camera keeps on blinking, so.
Yeah, it's because you need to actually invest in some internet.
I'm getting new internet. I'm getting a new router. It's the computer though, because it keeps on turning off.
Well, maybe you should get a new computer then. Don't know, just a crazy idea. I'm gonna throw it out here.
This coming month, once that YouTube ad revenue hits after I pay taxes, there we go. It's all going to a new computer.
For sure. Yeah, I think I'm good to go. Go ahead and wrap it up. We're at about an hour now, and I think that's typically where people like to keep them at. So yeah, I'm good to wrap it up if everybody's all good.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
Been real. Hopefully you guys make it through the rough market.
Oh yeah.
We got some ways to go until we're out of the woods, boys.
Yeah. It's getting interesting, but we'll be back.
I'm not losing any Bitcoin or any Cardano or any Ethereum. I'm really not losing any crypto.
Yeah,
I mean, the value might be going down, but hey, it's still the same. Why do we have to compare it to money? It's just crypto.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, all right, everybody. Well, that sounds like we're going to go ahead and wrap that thing on up. I appreciate y'all joining in. We are live every Friday. Oh, by the way, Steven is not here. Steven was not feeling good. He went to sleep pretty late, not feeling the best. So he took the Friday off. He's probably out laying by a pool or something. You know what Steven does. But he will be back on next Friday. The whole squad will be here. And you'll get the Money Morons next Friday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Yeah.
All right.
See you, everybody.
See you guys.